Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and it's time. We have arrived on the week of the Scottish Premiership kick-off. This weekend, the 25-26 campaign will be underway, which means it's time for my predictions. As usual, every year we're going to predict everything from who'll win the league, right down to who'll be relegated and everything in between. And a video that will wind up all the right people and get the conversation going in that comments section below. It's one that I've been rather successful in with my flaws, but one I look forward to every year. So, let's do that, shall we? And in the words of Brendan Rodgers, I'll see you in May. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. That would be much appreciated as we're on the journey now towards 60,000 subscribers. Welcome to all the neutrals, to all the opposition supporters who'll be watching me for the one and only time this season, hoping that you can clip something for the good of your own Twitter account. I welcome you and I love having you here. We're going to sit down, we're going to have a bit of a laugh, and we're going to try and get through things as quickly as possible. But I enjoy these videos because come the end of the year, there's always something good to look back on, So the 25-26 Scottish Premiership campaign kicks off this weekend, and Celtic are looking to make it 5 in a row. Brendan Rodgers looking to make it his third of that 5. And a very exciting year for Scottish football. I mean, if you look at things through the wider lens, and I try and take myself out of the Celtic frame of mind, this is a very exciting year for Scottish football, and one that I think we should all be optimistic about. A lot of outside investment, as we know, for Rangers, Hibs, Hearts amongst others. Some new faces popping up from the Scottish Championship. A lot of signings, a lot of transfers. Just something very different. In fact, doing this video today is probably the most excited I've been to do a league predictions video for a number of years when I take myself out of my Celtic supporting shoes. So, a big year for Scottish football. For outsiders, it's one to be very interested in. But you know me, I still want Celtic to win it all, and we're going to try and cover that today. So, shall we get cracking with my league predictions? We're going to do as we usually do. We're going to go from 12th all the way through first. I'm going to give you as quick a rundown on that team as possible, and we're going to end the video and see where I think all 12 teams will finish come May 2026. So, let's get going, shall we? And let's start with number 12. Terror Ball returns to the top flight. David Martindale returns to the top flight, and after their 1 year absence in the Scottish Championship, Livingston are back in the Scottish Premiership, and I have them predicted for rock bottom. Apologies to all the Livingston supporters that might be watching, and I don't mean to come across as a generational Livingston hater. I just don't have very high hopes for Livy returning to the top flight, and I think it might all be just a little bit too much too soon for them. I don't look at the squad and the situation as one that is ready to survive the battle in the Scottish Premiership. And considering they didn't win the Championship last year, I do feel like their quality is still a little bit away from catching up with that bottom end of the table. I think there was a big gulf between the Championship and the Premiership last season, and I think Livingston might be the example of that. I just don't have many hopes for them. A lot of people roll in with the narrative, oh well, Martindale knows how to get it done in the Premiership, and they're an experienced Premiership side, and I get that, I understand that, and maybe that will carry them through to an 11th or 10th place finish, but I think the circumstances are very different now. They've had a year out. I think they need time to get back to being that side. After all, they did literally get relegated a couple of years ago, so I think the days of the consistent knocking on the top 6 Livingston are gone, and I've got them predicted for rock bottom. So, apologies, Livy, but at least there's an away day back for us. That's handy.
You know, if you look through a certain lens and you're looking for a manager with a history of winning titles, then I'm not your man. I've not demonstrated that yet.
This is the side that most people are tipping for relegation this season, and it mostly comes down to the managerial appointment of Stephen Presley, which, admittedly, was a questionable one. I still can't wrap my head around getting rid of Tony Docherty for Stephen Presley, of all people, and I think that's why most supporters, or non-Dundee supporters I should say, are tipping them for relegation. However, The League Cup groups showed a little bit of improvement towards the end. We're hearing that the squad are quite happy with Stephen Presley and impressed with what he's brought into the training ground thus far. However, I just can't see a world in which it works out. And most people are tipping them for 12th place. The only reason I've got them in 11th is because should they change things soon enough, maybe they've got a fighting chance of survival this year, Dundee. But they are coming off the back of a season where they kind of loomed above that relegation spot. I don't see things getting much better for them this year. But hey, they've got the pressure's off Dundee this year. The fact that so many people have written them off from the get-go allows them to play with a different mentality. And nobody's really talking about the possibility of Stephen Presley being a success. So you never know which way it's going to go. I still have my doubts. And, you know, this is the manager that doesn't have a proven track history of winning titles, as he famously said. But I think survival would be good enough for them this season. And if Stephen Presley gets that, maybe that's good enough. But I have them for 11th place. You're so vain. Falkirk returned to the top flight for the first time in over a decade. They come back after winning the Scottish Championship last year, and I'm not as faithful as some others are in Falkirk doing a job in the Premiership this season. There seems to be a lot of people saying that Falkirk could even compete for a top 6 spot this year, which I think is a little bit wild, to be quite honest. I think they'll be down in that dogfight for the majority of the season. Listen, they play some good football. John McGlynn is a good coach. He's got them here for a reason. But this is a massive step up, and it's a step up that Falkirk haven't done in a long time. And I think a lot of people are overestimating them. Maybe I'm underestimating them. But once again, I still believe that there was a bit of a gulf these last few years between the Championship and the Premiership. And I don't see it being as much of a success as some others think. But hey, they'll come up and I suppose they'll try and play football. It's just a question of playing football. Will it work? Will it actually work? Or will they play against St Mirren's and Kilmarnocks and such and realise that, yeah, you need to set up differently in this league? Only time will tell, but I don't think it's going to be a great season for the Bairns.
Hey, this is Brett the Hitman Hart, and I got a message for the Kilmarnock FC. Just remember, you are the excellence of execution, and you are the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, and don't ever forget it.
So at 9th place I have Kilmarnock, who are probably, and please don't take this the wrong way, Kelly, the most boring side in the league to talk about going into the new campaign. I don't know what it is, but Kilmarnock just have such a meh feeling around them this season, and I don't know if that's just because of the managerial appointment they've went with. I don't have a lot to say about Kelly. A lot of people are actually tipping them for relegation. I think that's a bit much. I think the squad's a little bit better than relegation quality. I think that Kettlewell has shown that he's a manager that can navigate his way around the Premiership. They're just very, very boring, Kelly. And Derek McInnes leaving will probably be a big hit for them. He's a top manager who obviously took them to Europe only a couple of years ago. So, yeah, Kelly, 9th place. I think that just sums up my feelings about them going into this season.
That's fucking some result for the well, isn't it?
Motherwell are the only team that I can sit here hands up and say that I can't speak confidently about going into this new season. I don't know what to expect with Motherwell going into the 25-26 campaign. And there's something exciting about that. It was the same when they appointed Kevin Wimmer last year. We didn't know what to expect. And it's the same now with Jens Askau, who has came in as the new manager. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what we'll see. And that's fun. That's different, and I applaud Motherwell for taking that approach. Being in a world where we see Scottish Premiership sides constantly hiring guys like Stuart Kettlewell to go out there and get something different and take a chance on someone, I respect that. But in saying that, I don't know what to expect. Top half, relegation, who knows? Lennon Miller still at the club for now, probably not for much longer. I think Motherwell's biggest concern is probably to do with real quality in that squad. But hey, who knows? This is one that I'm very excited to see develop as the year goes on, and I hope it works out for their sake, but I'm sticking them at 8th for the time being.
Dundee's always considered to be a kind of a hard man town. When I go on holiday in London, if anybody knows I'm from Dundee, they sort of give me the look of, oh, hard man.
So rounding off the bottom half, we have Dundee United, and that might come as a surprise to many of you, especially Dundee United supporters who are watching this video. I'm a big fan of Jim Goodwin, and I think last year was a solid season for Dundee United, one that they should be hoping to build off, and I think they could. But I just have a gut feeling that the 6 sides I have above them in this video will have a better campaign. And that's really all this decision has came down to. Gut feeling. I think that Dundee United have the capability to finish anywhere between 4th and 7th this season. And it could be a matter of points that decide it. So I'm not putting them in the bottom half because I think they're dramatically lesser off than Hibs, Hearts, Aberdeen, St Mirren. I'm only putting them here because I think when it gets down to the nitty gritty, the other sides will just come out better. I think if Dundee United could do as well as they done last season, then that would be solid for them. I think, from my perspective anyway, that would be considered a good season. I'm unsure of what Dundee United fans would consider as a good season, but Jim Goodwin is a good coach. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, I don't mean to be harsh on you, Dundee United. I just have you at 7th.
We're gonna do something about it. Trust me, and it's gonna be beautiful. We're gonna go into Paisley and make St Mirren great again. Make St Mirren great again.
Kicking off the top half is St Mirren at 6th, and I have St Mirren in the top half once again because Stephen Robinson just knows how to get the job done up here in Scotland. He is a really good coach. I might hate his style of football, it might be horrible to watch when he comes to Celtic Park, but that's how you need to get the job done sometimes, and he's become a master at it. My only concern with St Mirren is this year could be the year they lose him. I feel like there's going to be a job that opens up, whether here or down south, that he decides to take midway through the season, which could maybe derail St Mirren, but hypothetically speaking, let's say he's here until May. I could see top half again for St Mirren. I just think he knows how to get it done. And he'll get some big results this year, whether that's against Celtic, Rangers, Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs, whatever. The big results will come. St Mirren just need to get that ruthless goal scorer, and they need to maybe get the results against the smaller teams a bit more often, and they'll build on what they've done under Stephen Robinson. But I can see them getting top half again. I really can. So we're into the interesting part now, the big 5, the top 5 of my Scottish Premiership predictions, which could go any way this year. And in quite boring fashion, I have the big 5 teams coming from 1st to 5th. Now, usually you always find somebody kind of upsets the establishment and gets themselves in the picture for a European place. But this year, I truly do think that all of these 5 sides will be up there in the top 5, as they should be, with the investment, with the quality. None of these teams should be down at the bottom half. There always seems to be one. You look at Hearts and Hibs, the way they started last season, very, very poor. You look at Aberdeen in years gone by, would have been very, very poor. There always seems to be one, but this year, surely they will make up the top 5. Let's start at 5th then. It's the Scottish Cup winners. I'm going for Aberdeen, who are very good. Jimmy Tiernan showed they can be very good. But just like last year, I can still see consistency being an issue for Aberdeen. They really need to sort that out. That was their biggest problem. They should have been far away 3rd place last year. The way it was going, they should have been. And in fact, they should have probably challenged Rangers for 2nd. But that run of form between like November and March, whatever it was, that was abhorrent. It was really, really bad. They saved their season towards the end. They, of course, went on to win the Scottish Cup, and it turned into be one of the most memorable years in Aberdeen's recent history. They need to build on that, but they need to build consistency, and I think they're just going to fall a little bit short of the Edinburgh sides and looking for that this year. But Jimmy Tiernan should be backed. He should be trusted. I think he showed very early he can be a top manager in this country. And yeah, I like the look of the Aberdeen squad. So there's no reason why they can't challenge for 3rd place, maybe even more this year. But I think they'll just come a little bit short.
What about the Jambos, the Hearts, the Jam Tarts,
Well,
the watery farts, the false starts, the exchanging marts, the Homer and Barts? Can they do it? Can they keep it together? Can they go all the way and capture that magical third spot again?
Fourth place is Hearts. Derek McInnes is there. He is in town. He is beginning his first full campaign as Hearts manager, and I don't think things will be pretty, but I think he'll win. And that's the thing with Derek McInnes. It might not be attractive stuff, but it's winning stuff, and he's done it at Aberdeen, he's done it at Kelly, he's took both of those sides to European football, he's won a trophy. Derek McInnes is one of the best appointments you can make at that kind of level, and I think Hearts have made a really smart appointment. As much as I hate him, it is a good appointment, and I think he'll get Hearts playing the kind of football they need to challenge for third place this season. It'll be a dramatic improvement on last year. Are they ready for that jump? Yeah, I think so. Tony Bloom's investment is now coming in as well. They've re-signed Lawrence Shankland. I think there's a lot to be optimistic about as a Hearts supporter. So it's just about translating that now onto the pitch, into consistent performances. And fourth place, I think, is very, very achievable for them this season. They dramatically underperformed last year. Like, they shouldn't have been where they were for the majority of that season. It was a disaster. And I don't think that will happen again this year. And of course that means third place I have Hibs. I think that Hibs are the best of the rest, to be quite honest, and I don't see any reason why Hibs can't be more optimistic or ambitious this year, considering how they ended the 24-25 campaign. They were by far the third best team in the league, and if they maybe had a better start to the season, they could have done a lot more. I think they could have been more confident in the cup competitions as well. But here we are, starting a new campaign, investment behind them, a very good looking squad. Yeah, this is the first time in a while I've went into a league campaign thinking that Hibs are the best of the rest. I think in the last few years it's been clear that Hearts and Aberdeen maybe have been the sides that are clear of them. I think Hibs are now clear of those two. So once again, consistency is important. That not Hibs in it is important. And yeah, David Gray has proven a lot of people, including myself, wrong. Can he continue to do that this year? I think he will, especially with the squad that they're building there. So I'm going for Hibs in that third place finish. A lot of people suggested they could go for second. I'm not going to get that carried away. But hey, if they can get a run of form together, if they can knock off Celtic and Rangers on a couple of occasions, never say never.
I did once seriously consider investing in Rangers with a view to making them financially secure and challenging for the SPL title again. In the end, though, I decided to run for president because I thought at least that was achievable.
So obviously, I have Celtic down to win the league, right? That's just obvious. I'm going to say that. I'm confident that'll be the case anyway. But I probably should speak quite in depth about Rangers and this new situation that is unfurling with the takeover of the 49ers enterprises, with Russell Martin coming in as manager. I think as a Rangers supporter, you should probably be quite optimistic with the summer spending and the direction the club is going in under new ownership. But I still think there's a ways to go before the league title is in touching distance. This is huge for Rangers. I'm not going to be naive. I'm not going to sit here and talk about things from a green tinted specs perspective. I'm going to be honest about it, as I always am. This is probably the first year in a long, long time that I've sat here going, right, Rangers have a vision. Rangers have direction and something to do. And that should have been the case anyway, with new owners coming in. Russell Martin, I think, was probably the best possible appointment Rangers could have made out of the four realistic names. I've said that a number of times. I think Ancelotti, Gerrard, Farioli were risky appointments, and even though Russell Martin isn't an amazing appointment by any stretch, or the perfect appointment, I thought he was certainly a far cry better than the other three. So I think they're moving in the right direction. And it was always going to happen. Celtic always had to be equipped for this, and they're spending money. The thing is with Rangers is expectation has to be managed. Like, Martin has to be given a chance, and fans need to understand that winning the league title isn't going to be done at the click of a finger. Like, that isn't going to happen. And if Rangers fans accept that, they'll have a lot more joy and success in chasing for the title over the next couple of years than just expecting to win it at the drop of a hat. And that's what I think's held Rangers back for quite a while now. I think it has been that expectation that they should just be challenging straight away when a new manager comes in. And then they rip up the notebook and they start again all too soon. They can't do that time and time again. It's not a meaningful way of trying to develop and challenge. I think this one has to be given time and patience, and I think that the first steps are there to try and give it time and patience. But we'll wait and see what happens come May, because we'll know what will happen. We'll go through the same cycles where they get a few results, the fans start clamouring on about the league title, that Celtic are finished, that everything is done and dusted, and then the inevitable might come through again. That seems to be the story. And I just think Rangers fans should stop themselves from getting dragged into that. Be patient and let the process happen. It's going to be a very interesting year. The one thing for me is with all these new signings, I will judge them when they're on the park. You know, it's the same as I do with Celtic players as well. There's no point in sitting pretending that there's a team of world beaters, because we've been here before. Both sides. I've done it with guys like Shane Duffy. On this very video 6 years ago or 5 years ago, I said that Shane Duffy was the best centre-half in Scotland before a ball was kicked. And for some reason, Rangers fans always do the same thing when they sign somebody. Oh, that's him now, the best midfielder in Scotland, the best striker in Scotland. Let the players grow, develop, get consistency underneath them, and then those conversations can begin. But until then, Celtic are just going to keep winning titles. Very interesting season for Rangers. They need to close that gap. 17 points. You know, you can't be letting that happen again. It's as simple as that. I think they will close that gap. But, yeah, let's get on to Celtic.
Shirt from Fraser's, belt from Gucci, teeth from Turkey, and a tan that suits you. Hey ho, here he goes. Whether the person real high or defender down low, got a manager who puts on a show, and we know his name is Brendan.
On paper, Celtic are still ahead of Rangers. That's not like opinion or theory or a controversial claim. Like, on paper, Celtic are still ahead of Rangers. It's Rangers that have to close the gap. But Celtic haven't done a good enough job this summer in trying to keep that gap alive and extend that gap. We are being sold short by the Celtic board in this summer transfer window, and it feels like we're allowing Rangers to make up ground on us, which is really irking the Celtic support. But listen, this is still a very strong Celtic side, and I'm not going to listen to any of the arguments that Celtic are drastically weaker. Some people are making out that's the case. No, we're not. We've lost one player in Nicholas Kuhn, and we've brought in Kieran Tierney and Benjamin Negren, which makes up a great bit of quality in our squad. You could argue Celtic right now are generally just the same, if not even a better side. It's offensively, going forward, that front line where we really need to make players, or sign players I should say, in the coming days. We're a week away from the season and that's not happened. But Celtic aren't a drastically weaker side. They aren't. They're just factually not. One player leaving doesn't make you drastically weaker. This is still the same team that was so close to the next round of the Champions League for a few moments. A penalty kick out away from, or shootout away from a treble, and one that finished 17 points ahead of Rangers. It doesn't excuse the travesty of a transfer window we seem to be having right now. It doesn't excuse the board for shortchanging the supporters. These are questions, points that certainly need addressed. But it's still a very good side, led by the most winningest manager in Celtic's recent history. We are in a good place, but we should be in a better place. And the first few weeks of the season will be vital in painting the picture of what to expect between us and our rivals. We can't always back on Rangers being much weaker than Celtic. They are looking to improve, and I think that we need to be ready for that. So, yeah, it's a big season. I'm confident of where it goes for Celtic. People will start asking the questions of, will it be a treble year, and yada yada. You take it at a game at a time. I'm not thinking about trebles in August or July. I'm thinking about starting the season off strongly, getting through the early cup rounds, and making a wee bit of an impact in Europe before I'm thinking about where we could be in May in regards to a treble. But sign players, strengthen the side, and I'm pretty confident that Celtic win 5 in a row. So there you go. There are my league table predictions for the 25-26 campaign in the Scottish Premiership. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know your opinions and your predictions as well. And I am looking forward to another season. Let's do this. See y'all next time.